In the countryside, you have a situation where you have subsistence farmers on their own land producing small amounts of crops for their own consumption. They have no markets to sell to. So they have very limited incomes, or very tiny incomes. And one of the only cash incomes they do have is charcoal production. So they cut down the trees on their land or nearby land. And in simple earthen mounds, they produce charcoal, which they then sell into the cities through a rather long value chain. So the amount of money they make from that is quite small, but still the only cash income they have. As the cities are growing and populations increase, of course, the demand for charcoal is growing, and the distance to the trees is also growing. So the first problem I've alluded to here is rural poverty, so poor farming communities that have no market access. A connected problem is deforestation. So one third of Africa's forests so far, roughly, has been destroyed for charcoal production, and that's growing as cities grow. On the urban side, the consumer side, charcoal prices have in Mozambique, in Maputo, they have doubled in 3 years, to the point where most households are spending at least $1 a day on charcoal, which is a very, very large spend for them. So what we're doing is we're involving these same smallholder farmers on their own land, providing them with the inputs and the training to implement a sustainable agroforestry model, which is also restorative, so it brings back the nutrient cycle. And over time, yield increases, significant yield increases on the land. So they become massively more productive. The idea being that whatever they don't consume themselves, they can sell to us. So we are their new market. And we're estimating at least a tripling of incomes as engagements, as they engage with us. It's only sort of version 1, you might say, and we're making newer versions. But even in this version now, it's been very, very popular. Our sales numbers are very encouraging. So it's a full value chain: farm, community-based processing, central processing, retail through our own network of stores. And today we have about, last I heard, we were up on 650 roughly farmers, targeting about 2,000 in the next couple of years for this phase. About 5 community processing centers. The biorefinery is already up and running, but there are components to be built onto that over the coming 2 years. And on the retail side, somewhere in the vicinity of 100 stores is the goal. We have about a dozen now. We have about 150 employees right now, probably ending up at about 1,000 in the next 2 years or so. And we'll be servicing about 20% of the cooking fuel market in Maputo. Novozymes has an amazing product portfolio of industrial biotech portfolio, technologies in all kinds of industries, agricultural processing, textiles, detergents, fuel, foods, animal feed, you name it. What quickly became clear to me is that if we could leverage especially the sides relating to agricultural production and processing, and link that to agricultural development in sub-Saharan Africa, that would be a very big win. I mean, it's not exactly a secret that if you can, from a poverty perspective, can crack the nut of rural poverty with an agricultural model, then that's really one of the dream outcomes from a development perspective. So human resource development and human resource management has been rough. I mean, it gets easier as we grow and become sort of better known, but it hasn't been easy getting the team together as we have it today. That was a challenge. And on a more provocative note, it was actually tricky because many of the most talented local potential managers, get rather well-paid jobs at UN organizations, banks, NGOs, and us commercial businesses have a hard time attracting them. There's also the whole government regulatory regime. So one of the challenges is that charcoal is an informal market, so there's no VAT on charcoal, but there is VAT on our cooking fuel. So we have a a significant market disadvantage. So our pricing is a bit higher than we would want it to be. We're on par with charcoal, and depending on your consumption patterns, we can actually lower than charcoal. But it would be nice if we could whip it down another 10, 20%, and it would become, a much more pervasive solution in the market.